President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to deliver the 2023 State of the Nation address on Thursday. With load shedding at its peak, the power crisis is expected to be high on the agenda. We speak to author and political analyst Dr. Ebrahim Harvey on expectations ahead of that speech on Thursday. Dr. Harvey, good morning and thank you very much for availing yourself. So in 2018, there was a promise of a new dawn. What can you identify that has been nourished by the sun?
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me. No, if frank truth be told, since that New Dawn speech of Ramaphosa was, he mentioned in 2018 this New Dawn, and it inspired a lot of people, including me, honestly. But if you look at the results from 2018, when that speech was made, we've actually got the worst crisis, multiple crises converging, simultaneously since the 1994 watershed elections. There's no doubt. But this speech of Ramaphosa in this order really has to address what is the worst load-shedding electricity ESCOM crisis ever in the history of South Africa. So if you ask me what that State of the Nation address should be about, is indeed the state of disaster, not only at ESCOM, but if truth be told, in this country. We are facing the worst crises on every conceivable front since 1994. And you must not forget that this electricity crisis only stands on top of a larger municipal service delivery crisis. Water, sanitation and sewerage alongside electricity is in the worst situation ever in post-apartheid South Africa. I hope Ramaphosa begins that address in acknowledging the depth of this crisis, and included in that if for the first time, this State of the Nation address, it has to be as honest, as truthful as possible, that he finally says something meaningful and transparent about the Phala crisis that envelops him. And just remember that it's far from finished. So it should be a key and critical ingredient of that State of the Nation address. And I hope really that he's going to, for the first time, take South Africans into his confidence and say something more meaningful than the platitudes and the evasion that we've seen from Ramaphosa regarding that crisis on his farm. And last but not least, he has to get to grips with, don't forget also, before I'm finished with the Phala crisis, the Integrity Commission of the ANC. I don't know if you noticed what they did, and I'm sure they did it because of pressure from the NEC. They neatly avoided a report they were supposed to give before the National Conference of the ANC last year. They did not. They said, no, they'll deal with it at the conference. Suddenly, I predicted it. They failed to deal with it at the conference itself. And apparently, there was a media leak. The reason being is that a report that the Integrity Commission did leak or was leaked to the media was scathing about Ramaphosa. No wonder that, even the National Conference failed to address it. And they had promised that it will be postponed to that National Conference, and it never happened. And then finally, the worst internal crisis in the ANC since 1994. You can see Carl Nyau's formed the African Transformation Movement, recently launched. And, then you've got the 2024 elections in just over a year. This must be the most difficult and important, however, State of the Nation address that Ramaphosa has himself, and in fact ever, as an ANC president, that is president of the country, also had to issue. The most difficult time ever. So what that Sona consists of, really, I'm quite eager to see on Thursday when Ramaphosa makes it.
So we often hear of the Batupele white paper, so Batupele putting people first. You mentioned multiple crises. We take a look at the situation of transport. The people of Pongolo in KwaZulu-Natal suffering the most because of the heavy traffic of trucks which are making their way to export top-tier coal out of the country. And so what is it that we should hear about putting people first and sorting out the issue of Transnet so we can get our railways back online?
Yes, obviously, you see, when I speak about basic services, it's not just water, sanitation, electricity, it is transport. And especially for the black working class majority, you know, our rail networks have been collapsed, really. I mean, it's beginning to, attempts been made to reopen certain lines, etc. But you've hit the nail on the head, really. If we think it's bad in the urban areas, you know, in the outer lying areas, it's much worse. And as you said now, Transnet is beginning to get its act together. It must be said, you know, and it's said, although Fikile Mabulala is now out of that Ministry of Transport, he had begun some important initiatives, it must be said, even to resuscitate and revive the collapsed railway network system. But it's key and critical to infrastructure alongside water, sanitation, sewerage, and electricity. So it's very important, and let's hope that Ramaphosa can also say something about what you've raised, which is a key and critical infrastructural matter.
Are you looking forward to hearing anything about land reform? If you're to assess how well the president has done on that, how would you rate it?
No, he's done very poorly. I mean, 2017 Nasrec conference of the ANC, land reform and this expropriation without compensation, that alongside, proposals around the South African Reserve Bank, the ANC has shelved. It has failed to deal with it. In fact, all along it had failed. Although the Constitution Section 25 allowed it to take certain measures, it failed to do so. Only when the EFF mentioned it in Parliament 2016 or 15 did the ANC begin to address this question. But it's it's been there all along. And it's very serious indictment of the ANC, really, that the 2017 conference specifically mentioned, land reform as a fundamental issue. And you ask me, what have they done seriously since then? Hardly anything. So it's a key issue, and let's hope that he has something meaningful to say about it, in the Sona on Thursday.
Thank you very much to Dr. Ebrahim Harvey for your time.